Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about spell failure, why your spells may not have worked out and what you can do about that. But before we dive in, my name is Sandra. I'm the author of Crafting a Wiccan Path. If you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft, magic and spell casting, tarot and shadow work, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. If you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice but you're just confused by all of the things you need to know, I have a free video. It's called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice, and you can pick up a copy of that via the link in the description field below this video, or if you go to my website mysterywitchschool.com, you'll find it there as well. Now, because we're talking about spell casting, I've also got a free PDF. It's called the Spellcaster Checklist, and it will give you a list of things that you need to think about and consider before you start casting your spells so that you do have better success at your spell casting. You can pick up a link in the description field below this video for a copy of that, and it's also on my website under the freebies tab. Now, we'll start off with defining what a failure in spell casting actually is, and we'll have a look at some of the more common reasons as to why it may fail, and then what you can do about that. How can you fix it so that it does become successful? And if you do have a copy of the Spellcaster Checklist that I mentioned, you can go and have a look at that, because that's going to help you diagnose your problems as well. So you can use that as a diagnostic as well. But the first thing is defining what a failure is when it comes to a spell. And it simply means that the spell didn't work out. It didn't work out the way you wanted to. So maybe it sort of worked out, but not quite how you wanted to. Maybe the spell didn't give you the results that you wanted. Sometimes people say that spells have backfired. It's not that they backfire, it's just that they simply have not brought you what it is that you want, and there could be a lot of reasons as to why something else has happened instead of the desire that you wanted. Your intention is actually really, really important, and the spell is going to follow whatever your subconscious intention is, not necessarily the conscious one. So that's why you need to have a look at shadow work and a little bit about know thyself, to sometimes understand why some spells actually do weird things rather than what you want them to do. It might be that you didn't use a link, or you didn't use a link that was helpful. So what I mean by link is a connection for you to have on a physical level between you and what it is you're doing the spell for. So for example, if you're doing a spell to find a job and you're going for an interview at a particular place, then a link would be a connection to the place that you're going to for the interview, or the company or business that you're being interviewed by. So having a business card of theirs or letterhead of theirs, something that's physical and tangible that belongs to them or that represents them symbolically, is a link, and you can use that link in your spell. So if your spell casting for jobs hasn't been working out, it might be time to try and find some links. Now, because everything's online, you can easily find the links online. Just go to their website and get a copy of their logo and a photocopy of it, and you can use that as a link in your spell. If you're working spells for other people, then it's very helpful to have a link to the people that you're working for. And if you're doing work to maybe heal somebody, it's good to have a link to them. So that means something that belongs to them or something that symbolizes them. Belonging to them is always a best bet. So that could be an object that they wear a lot, like a ring. It could be fingernail clippings, hair clippings, that kind of thing, all that traditional sort of witchy stuff that you see in the movies. It's actually there for a reason. It is a link. It's a magical link. It's an energetic link because it's vibrating with their energy. And when it comes to a symbol, like say a business logo, it's to do with the business egregore that you're connecting with. And that's like the energy of the business, a business's energy signature or thought form even. So the links are something that you may need to consider if the spell hasn't worked without one. And that might be all you need for it to work well. Another thing, and this is probably a major thing, is that you weren't clear with your intention in the first place. You weren't really clear with what it is that you wanted. It was a little bit too general. you didn't really understand what it is that you wanted or why you really wanted it, to narrow it down enough to it. There could also be some beliefs that are in the way that are telling you why you can't have it the way you really want to have it, and so you've settled for something else. So rather than doing a spell maybe for money to come to you in a way that's joyful, you may have done a spell to have the money come to you another way. So maybe you don't really want to work for someone else, you would rather work for yourself, and so you're doing magic for a job, when really you need to be looking at doing magic to find ways that you could create an income stream for yourself, and going down that route and working with what it is you truly want rather than what you think you can get. And if you're really not wanting a job, you may not get the job through magic because you're kind of blocking it. So look at what you're really wanting to do to bring in an income and focus on that. You may still need to get a job in the interim, then you understand that you're just getting it for an interim. And that will make your spell more successful because you're only doing it because you need to do it for short term, and so that's what you're focused on. But be clear in what it is you truly want at the end of it all and focus on that. It's our beliefs about our ability to really experience what it is that we want that can get in our way. And when we're aiming for something, particularly if it's something that's a bit outside our comfort zone or outside our norm, we have to then become the person who would have that thing. So if you would love to have your own business, making things and selling things, but there's a part of you that goes, there's no way I could do that, and then there's all the reasons in the world why that can't happen, yet that's something you'd really love to do, then have a look at all of those reasons why it can't happen. And for the people who are successful doing that, who are they turning up as? How are they being in the world? Is there a version of you that is successful doing that thing? Can you imagine a version of you that is successful doing that kind of thing? And if there is, what does that person look like? What are they doing on a daily basis? How are they feeling? Become that person. So do the spell and become that person, and then work at becoming that person all the time. It's called identity shifting, and that's the magic that we're doing on ourselves in order to have what it is that we want. You have to be the person that has the thing in order to have the thing, if that makes sense. Every time we're doing magic on ourselves as well. If you're doing magic on behalf of other people, then they kind of need to be ready to be the person who has that as well. And often if spells don't work for other people, if you're doing them for other people, it's because they've got a lot of issues in the way as well. It's one of the reasons I don't do spell casting for other people. It's because I can't do anything about their vibration or their issues or their blockages unless we actually do some coaching first and then maybe look at doing spell casting. Remember that you have to be the person who has what it is that you want to, so that when you're doing your spell and you're being in the wish fulfilled, so you're at that point of the spell where you're saying the chant and you're imagining that it's already happened, you're seeing yourself already in that situation, you're speaking to the people you would be speaking to in that situation, you're hearing their replies, you're feeling what you would feel on your skin or whatever in that sort of a situation. When you're in that, that's your wish fulfilled. That needs to be something that you can really experience on a subconscious level so that you can change your energy to match being that person. Other things that are important to look at when you're troubleshooting your spells is the whole procedure. So if you follow the Spellcaster's Guide in the PDF that I was talking about earlier, you can use that to document your spells so that you can write your spells down. You know, how are you feeling about your spell? What is your intention? And be really clear with that. You need to be able to put it in a sentence, one sentence about what it is that you actually want, and then write the spell from there. Write down all of the details. Write down what materials you're using, if there's any links, what links they are, what colors you're using, what herbs you're using, how you're putting it together, what's your chant, when you did it, what time of the day was it. That doesn't matter so much, but if you're really wanting to get on top of these things, you could do a spell to bring in something new in the mornings, for example, and to banish something, do the spell in the evening. Or maybe you feel more magical, more powerful in the evenings under candlelight. So if you're feeling more powerful at that time of the day, do your spell casting at that time of the day. Now there's a lot of intricacies to spell casting that you can really get into, like the planetary hours, working with astrology and all of that. And you don't necessarily have to go into that on such a level for spell casting, but it might be what helps you. It might be what tips you over the edge to actually getting what it is that you want for whatever reason. Sometimes it's important to look at the astrology too. If you're doing a spell for yourself, for money, for example, and for a few days when you're thinking of doing the spell, the planets are not well aligned, maybe there's squares and things going on in your astrology and your money houses, then it's probably not a good time to do a money spell. Maybe wait until those transits have completed and things are either more neutral for you and money, or actually favourable in your astrological chart for money, for example, and that can be for all of your spell casting needs as well. I like to work with astrology when it comes to spell casting because it really does make a difference, because there are going to be times in your life, in your natal chart, where the planets are aligned in such a way that it's a really good time to do a particular thing and push for that particular thing, and sometimes it's not such a good time. So it's good to know your chart if you can do that. Working with the lunar cycles too. Are you working to bring something in or to grow something during the waxing moon and not the waning moon, for example? Are you trying to do magic on a dark moon that isn't about releasing anything? Those kinds of things can be the small, tiny little energetic tweak that could be the difference between your spell success and not having success. Now, most of the time, the most important thing is your intention and your ability to be able to be in the wish fulfilled long enough to be able to experience it on a subconscious level as if it's real. But sometimes you do actually need those other things working there with you, depending on how difficult it is, depending on what it is you're trying to do, and what kind of maneuver you're trying to make here. Some spells are easier than others. If you've already got things in your sphere of availability, then just having an intention could bring them to you. You might not even need to do a spell. You just need to think, oh, I need some chairs. And then across the road, some chairs appear. That could be a really simple thing. Or it could be a big grand thing, I want to become, wealthy, and I want to live, in this particular location, and I want to have a house like this and a view like that. That's going to be a lot more involved and probably require a number of different spells to make that happen, and definitely an identity shift for you to be the person who lives in those circumstances. It's not impossible, it just means you've got to put a lot more work in, and one spell is not going to bring you those results most likely, so you'll need to consider other things to help you along the way. So when you do figure out, okay, what has gone wrong with my spell? Okay, maybe I need to get a link. Or, maybe I just really can't imagine that I could be that person. There's a part of me that believes I'm not allowed to have this lifestyle, for example, or I'm not allowed to have wonderful companionship in my life. There may be a belief there that's really strong in your subconscious that's telling you you're not allowed to have that, or you don't deserve that, or it's not possible for you, or people like you can't have that kind of thing, or you grew up in such and such an environment, so therefore that means you're not going to be able to have these other things. These are beliefs and assumptions. And even though you can look at them rationally and go, then they don't have to be true, they're not true. If they'll feel true if you've believed them ever since you were a child. They're going to feel true, and you're going to be vibrating in that truth rather than the real truth, which is, of course, you can have those things. Even if you did come from such and such, even if you were who you were growing up. And yes, you are allowed, even if you believe you're not. So it's looking at all of these beliefs. Now, I've also released a tapping video on my Sandra Inman tapping channel, which where I do EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping on these kinds of beliefs. So if you find you have these beliefs, go on over to Sandra Inman tapping and have a look for the video about the blocks, clearing blocks to manifestation, because I've just released that one the same week as I'm releasing this video. So this is where we sort of get to, you know, your shadow work, having a look at where you may be blocking yourself energetically. Your thoughts create emotions, your emotions create behavior, your thoughts create emotions, and emotions also create your energy signature. So have a look at your thoughts, because they're going to influence your energy and they're going to influence your behavior. Now, your spell might have worked. It's just you haven't followed it up with physical action in the world. You do have to take action in the world on your spell. So if you have done a spell and you got a phone call from a friend to say, hey, let's meet up, let's do something, then meet up with that friend and, you know, go and socialize with that friend. Because if it's a love spell, that friend may invite you to a party, or they may know somebody that they want to introduce you to, or they may know somebody who's, you know, got a business who's looking for an employee. You know, you never know where all of these things can go, and magic works that way. It's going to put you in touch with the people and the situations that are going to help you manifest what it is that you want. So you do need to take action in the world, not just sit there and visualize yourself having it and expecting it just to rock up. Do whatever you can to take action on inspired thoughts, inspired creative ideas and opportunities that come your way. Even if they don't seem like they're going to go anywhere, still follow up on them and allow yourself to be open to all of the different ways the magic can work. And I'd have to say that's probably the main reason magic doesn't work, is because we're not taking the action at the end of it. It's probably one of the main reasons. And that is usually due to beliefs and assumptions. So it always comes back to our beliefs about ourselves and the world and what we do with that. And sometimes that means changing it. They're the ways that you can define the mistakes in your spell, and just do the spell again with keeping in the tweaks, you know, adding in a link, maybe making it at a better time of the moon. Looking at your astrology and saying, well, you know, maybe I need to wait a couple of days till things are more in alignment for me. And then doing the spell again and modifying it. If you feel you want to modify it or change it or tweak it in some way, you might want to add some energy raising in there too. Might maybe add some dancing in there, or some meditation, or something that can help you feel more into the energy of the spell when you're casting it as well. So just things that you can do to help you out there. If you do want to learn how to become a good spellcaster, I do have a course. It's called The Witch's Guide to Magic, and it's all about magic. It's about troubleshooting the problems that you may have with your spellcasting for the different major spellcasting areas, such as money and success, romance and relationships and friendships, protection, defense magic, and also health and wellness magic. And that course has got modules on all of those, separate modules on all of those, that goes into the nuances of each of those different types of spells, and where your blockages might be and what you need to think about when you're doing that kind of magic. There's a link in the description field below this video for how you can enroll in that course. And if you are interested in working with me on all of the witchcraft areas and not just on magic, that particular course, The Witch's Guide to Magic, is also offered as a free bonus in my Mystery Witch School 101 Academy now. So that's another way that you can gain even more access to all of these amazing powers, experiences and skills of a witch. So all the links are in the description field below this video and on my website mysterywitchschool.com under my courses tab. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Sandra, and I'll see you on the next video.